And you can count on us to eliminate the filibuster, and let's get some stuff done for America.
So that's John Fetterman in Pennsylvania. Welcome back to the program. Dana Loesch here with you. We've been talking about Japanese metal the whole time on break. So sometimes you hear the product of what we were talking about on break in the bumper tracks. Welcome back, Dana Loesch here. That was John Fetterman, as I just said. He's speaking on the campaign trail. He was in the hospital. I mean, he had a stroke, and it seemed as though strokes are pretty serious. And I don't want to make light of things. I just don't like it when people lie to me or lie to you. And I want you to understand that you have every right to ask whether an elected official who had a major, enough to where they were hospitalized, for a significant period. And with Fetterman, he was in the hospital for, wasn't he, through the whole beginning of the campaign and through a lot of the primary, correct? And so when it's that serious, you have every right to ask, wait a minute, how is this going to impact your ability to perform an elected office? It's not mean. It's not, you're asking as a taxpayer, you're asking as a voter, because these are people who are going to make significant decisions on things that affect how much money you're going to bring into your home, how much the things that you purchase cost. You have every right to ask this. And I was looking at this. There's video of this everywhere. A lot of questions about John Fetterman's health. Pennsylvania is a weird Senate race because you have the Republican that I'm not a huge fan of. At least he's not a Democrat, but I hate when that's the only thing that recommends a candidate. You know what I mean? Well, at least it's not Satan. You know what I mean? It's just it seems like there's so much more that you would want to recommend. I'm you get what I'm saying. With Fetterman, the way that the campaign originally talked about what his health was, anybody who was asking, well, is that the full story? They were accused by some of his surrogates, I guess. I've seen it on Twitter, at least, that, you're just being mean-spirited. It's just a minor stroke. It was called by atrial fibrillation. It's a minor stroke. And his wife had said there was a clot in his brain. They removed it via an incision in his groin, which, by the way, can I just pause for one moment and just actual real science? God love you. Take a blood clot out of someone's brain through their groin. That's pretty amazing. Now, when they were talking about it, it sounded, I don't know. There was a lot of questions. Was it like a thrombectomy? What was this? And there was a blog called The Skeptical Cardiologist. And they were looking at just what the campaign had been saying about Fetterman. And the cardiologist who authors that website, Anthony Pearson, said it doesn't make sense when he was talking about his health. And this came from the Philadelphia Inquirer. It doesn't make sense. And he was like, look, I have no knowledge of his medical situation, but a defibrillator would never be implanted unless another patient has a condition besides AFib. And they were talking about what was done with Fetterman during his surgery. And apparently they were saying that that's something that, by the campaign, that they were saying that that's what I guess he had done. That and it didn't make sense to these cardiologists who were writing about it. So they were wondering, well, how much heart trouble is he actually having? Because what this doctor said was a defibrillator does not treat AFib, a condition that arises in the left atrium at the top of the heart. Instead, it shocks one of the heart's lower chambers, the ventricles that pump blood. And you install it when you're worrying about a patient maybe going into cardiac arrest again. So I don't know what the issue is. It sounds, a lot of people are speculating that there may be something more. And he's lost a lot of weight. And this is what the problem is: when campaigns are not honest with voters, then voters are going to speculate. And you can't blame them because they have every right to ask these questions. And I hate that we're at this point where it's like you're shamed if you ask it. There's one thing about making fun of like when Trump was walking down a ramp and it was wet and he had on dress shoes and then acting like he's impaired somehow. Being stupid like that is one thing. But when you have like Biden, for instance, when he can't string repeatedly, when you compare his speeches today from his speeches a few years ago, oh my gosh, there's such a difference. Only the most petty partisan would deny it. You can absolutely ask legitimate questions about that. And that's not being mean-spirited. You're wanting to know. And the same with this. I mean, this is wild. This clip where he was speaking, it's just weird. He doesn't seem entirely healthy yet.